Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mandy, and today I'm going to be covering time management strategies. It is something that I went over with my old teaching staff about a year ago, and I just thought that this would be a great opportunity to revisit and share the strategies with others. So, thank you so much for joining me. As you can see, I have the setting the stage slide up here. So, if you haven't already, try to put your phone on silent, gather some writing tools, sticky notes, fun colored pens, close all the windows in your browser just so you can get the most out of this session while you're here today. All right, so welcome to Time Management Strategies. I'm Mandy Kramer, and you're going to learn a little bit about me in the next couple slides. But if you've been feeling like you have just been so busy all the time, and at the end of the day, you're like, I just feel like I didn't get anything done, this session is for you. I can't wait to share my strategies with you and all of that good stuff. Let's see here. All right, so today's objectives. This is what we're going to be talking about in our session today. Number one, you're not alone. So let's give some space to think about what work-life harmony means to you and what that means in general, work-life harmony instead of work-life balance. Number two, busy versus productive. So we're going to talk about the difference and why it's so easy to get overwhelmed these days when you aren't clear in your mind about busy versus productive and strategies to approach to that. Next, I'm going to be talking about eating the frog. It's the 80-20 rule and how you can apply it to your life. And that may sound a bit odd now, but it will all make sense by the end of the presentation. And finally, we will close out with application, learning how to create functional task lists and how to identify priorities. I kind of stuttered there, but functional task lists. That's a tongue twister. But I'm going to be covering how to go over that, and those have been a lifesaver for me. So a little bit about myself. So hi again, I'm Mandy. And this is a picture of me and my husband in Rome. It's kind of a fun picture because we are both Michigan State University Spartan alumni. So I thought that would be a fun picture to add in there. I am also a mother to a 2-year-old, a very fun, loving, sweet 2-year-old. I'm also a wife, educator for over 12 years now. I am now an entrepreneur, and I've actually created 2 businesses while teaching full time. So I wanted to kind of highlight that and say that to kind of give credibility behind what I'm talking about today, because I have been juggling motherhood for the first time, balancing household needs, teaching, and then creating not 1, but 2 businesses. And actually, those businesses have done quite well. And I've actually left the classroom recently. So, in addition to that, I also love to explore, go on vacations, go on trips, and I love to create things. I don't know if you saw me on Instagram recently, but I finished prototyping my board game for this sustainability. And I just love to do hands-on crafts like that. So how do I find time for all of this? And how is that even possible? Sometimes I wonder that myself, but I take a step back and look at what strategies I've been doing. And I'm going to share with you those today. And you might be wondering, well, okay, so what does this have to do with social impact science? And the reason that I have this within my membership, but I also made it public for everyone else to see, is because it's difficult to prioritize and find time for things outside of your pressing needs. And a lot of times taking action on sustainability isn't a top priority for a lot of people, and especially for kids. So if I help parents and educators prioritize their time better, they may feel like they have more opportunity and more breathing room to integrate more hands-on social impact activities into their learning programs. Or if you're a homeschool parent, it gives you an opportunity to apply what you're learning in a low stress manner. So I just feel like time management is something that everybody can benefit from, no matter what topic you're talking about or what your background is. So anyway, that's the connection. Let's move on. All right, so first, let's get some space real quick to just acknowledge that you're not alone if you're finding it hard to find a comfortable work-life balance. I still struggle with it day to day, absolutely. But in the end, I try to, anytime my mind gets too much, like there's too much going on in my mind, I try to just have a writing brainstorm and just get everything that's in my head out on paper. And within that, I start to be able to prioritize my tasks and think about what I need to do. And it becomes a bit more manageable and very goal oriented. So when you write it out and get what's in your head out, that's going to really help with the overwhelm. And I just want to let you know with this part of the presentation that you are not alone. And if you ever find that it's really hard to find that work life balance or that home life balance or that homeschooling life balance, I'm here for you. Anytime you want to chat, you can message me on Instagram, and I'd be more than happy to help guide you and help support you a little bit more than this presentation if you need it. All right. So I talked a little bit about having a goal-oriented approach to my time management strategies. And I want to talk a little bit about those goals. So this is an activity that you can do. You can pause this presentation after I explain the slide so that you can take some time and think about what your goals are. But your goals are a living concept and they can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about one particular aspect of what you're going through right now, whether it's homeschooling or teaching or just being a parent, or maybe you're a working parent. So it doesn't have to have a specific theme. I just want you to think about different goals in your life in general. And they will change and grow and develop just as you as a person. And so thinking about what would you do if you had more time on your hands. So what would you do if you were able to get more time? And for me, I would probably have a cleaner house. So I have home up here. I'd probably work more on my mental health. I would like to be more present with family time, work on my physical health, get out and exercise more. I would create and do crafting or building something. I'd have fun. I'd just find ways to be creative and help impact others if I had just more time, right? So I want you to think about what would you do? What would you do if you had more time on your hands? And you can word those into some goals or focus on some targets as to give you some incentive as to why you should be doing these strategies in the first place. So you can think back and remember, oh, wait, I want to start creating these habits because I want to have time for those vacations. I want to have time to go out for a walk in the middle of the day or whatever those goals may be. So, busy versus productive. If you're ever feeling like you're going nonstop all day, and at the end of the day, you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just got nothing done. I have said those words. I have heard my colleagues say those words. I've heard my fellow mom friends use those words. I know that we're not alone in this. And I just want to address the difference between busy and productive. So, understanding this difference will allow you to make better choices with your time, and knowing what the difference is will also allow you to make some really great functional lists. And I'm going to define what that is in a minute. But busy versus productive will be those frogs that I'm going to address in a little bit. And busy are going to be all these little tiny tadpoles that are throughout your day. So Mandy, what on earth are you talking about? Right. I'm just going to jump forward and then go back for a little bit because I'm realizing the conversation kind of flowed in this direction. And I don't want to leave you with a bunch of frogs on your mind and you have no idea what I'm talking about. So this concept of eat the frog, it's not something I created. It has been backed by research and the good old Brian Tracy. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he wrote a book called Eat That Frog. The book in about 30 seconds gives 21 ways to stop procrastinating and get more done in less time. And in the first few chapters of the book, it goes through a lot of great strategies in which you can use to help understand the difference between busy and productive. And to summarize it in my own words, I would say that you have certain tasks in the day that are a little bit bigger and higher importance than other tasks. And when you don't prioritize those bigger, more important tasks, and you start just focusing on all the little tiny things, that is the little tiny things is you staying busy, whereas the productive would be getting those big things done. In the book, these big things, I'm going to give a couple examples in the previous slides in a second of what these big things are. But those big things count as frogs, and the frogs are 20% or of those highly important and highly productive tasks. And the other 80, and then the 20/80 rule or the 80/20 rule is 80% of your progress is going to come from eating those frogs or getting those big productive things done first thing in the day. And so that is where you will start to feel this sense of satisfaction at the end of the day, where you have gotten your most important things done, the big, nasty things that you don't want to do. That's why he says eat the frog, because nobody really wants to eat a frog. So think about those things that you really don't want to do, but you know are going to be very helpful. And as soon as you get those things done, first thing in the day, it's going to feel like a sense of relief, and you're just going to feel better about yourself, rather than feeling guilty that you procrastinated and did all these tiny little things besides the big nasty thing that you didn't want to do that day. All right. We're going to do an activity later. Let's jump back to some examples of these big nasty things. All right. So I'm sorry, I apologize. So here are these examples that I wanted to kind of show you. So I did this process when I was a teacher, and I actually did this professional development with fellow colleagues. And what I did was I just did a brain dump of all the tasks that I had to do. At the time, I was teaching online full time, and I was doing all kinds of things, that were all over the place with my job. But I was able to kind of organize into some systems and processes. So, how did I do that? First, you get everything out of your head or out that you know that you need to do for your task. So, this could be a work thing, it can be a homeschool brain dump, it can be a life brain dump. What are all the things that you need to do? But try to focus on like one topic for now. And then you can branch on and do this with other aspects of your life. So, these I broke it down into monthly or semester, monthly, weekly, and then daily. And what doing this allowed me to kind of see like what are the big things that don't happen very often, but I need to do and are kind of, hanging over my head. And in teaching, that can be growth plans, future observations. We had student learning objectives that we had to reach and measure. So those were kind of those big, nasty, frogs. And then I would also have some frogs in the monthly tasks. So things that I had to do once a month would be, update the IEP or 504 logs for accommodations, or monitor my progress with my student learning objectives. Those were things that would take a lot of brain power, a lot of time, and would probably be something that I would want to put off with until the last second. And then I would have my weekly tasks, my daily tasks. So what I did was I highlighted and colored, and I don't think I have that slide here today. Maybe I do. Oh yeah, I do. Okay. So what I did was I highlighted and colored my frogs, which were the big nasty things, and then my tadpoles, which were important but not that urgent, and then batchable, which I'm going to go over what batching means in a second. So in short, you want to pause this presentation after I say this, but I want you to just get everything that's in your head out as far as a certain theme of your life that you feel a bit overwhelmed with or that you want to get organized first. And in that process, I want you to see what are the things that you do each day? What are the things that you do each week? Can you find some patterns? Can you find some repeatable things that you are consistently doing? Look at the month in general. Are there doctor's appointments that you need to plan ahead or remember to schedule? Or yearly activities? Is there a big vacation to plan around? So, and you can also have your miscellaneous. For me, I had creating designs for learning resources, organizing gatherings, and just random things that didn't really fit in one of my tasks. So you can have a little section for that too. I love my colored pens. I love my paper. I love getting things out. Um, you can do this on a computer if that's your thing, or an iPad, but I really love just the simplicity of getting everything out on paper. All right, so if you want to pause this presentation right now and kind of do this activity, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to move on to the next part. All right. So what we talked about briefly in the previous slide were those little tasks that were even smaller than tadpoles. So in here, I had highlighted them as blue, so batchable things. Small but important. By the way, these batchable things are those busy things. So if you find yourself constantly addressing these first in the day, that's where you start to get busy, 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 but not that productive. Okay, so how can we get more productive with those busy tasks? And there is a term called batching. So just like you wouldn't want to bake one cookie at a time, that would be very tedious. You are basically doing that with all of your busy tasks if you're not planning ahead and doing it in batches. So, so there were various things in the world of teaching that I could apply to the batching method, but I can also give some examples on things that are a little bit more relevant because I'm not teaching anymore after I give out some of these examples here. So the first thing is grading. So one thing I had to do as a teacher, as many people know, is they have to grade. And what I ended up doing was I told my students that I would get back to them in a certain amount of time, and I would wait until I would have a certain amount of stuff to grade, and I would do it all at once in the same time period. Same thing with my Zoom appointments. So during the pandemic, we had a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of things to do with students. So what I would do is I would try and plan my Zoom calls back to back to back to back so that I can just hop from one call to another. And then I would have all of those Zoom appointments done at the same period each day. Emailing, if you are in the workplace, or maybe I could replace this with social media for some of you parents out there. But social media, emails, all of that connection with the outside world is a huge culprit of making your brain switch what it's focusing on. I am a huge, I let social media distract me maybe a bit too much, and emails distract me a bit too much, but I'm working on it, self-development here. And why is this a problem? Why is it a problem that what if I did a Zoom call and then worked on emails and another Zoom call, worked on emails, or checked my social media and then did some grading? Why does that matter? Like if you're just going with the flow of the day. But a fun fact here at the top, it takes about 15 minutes of working on a specific task to get into a flow state in your brain. So every time you get distracted by something, it's going to take your brain another 15 minutes to readjust to what it was doing before. And that's where a lot of time gets wasted, is because you are making your brain work too hard when it doesn't need to. Every time you think, you're burning calories. So you want to try and save those calories by focusing on one task for a certain amount of time, distraction free. But Mandy, like I have 4 kids running around the house, and like I don't even get a chance to go to the bathroom. I get it. And what I did when I was really juggling a lot while being a mother is I would call in for some reinforcements or for some help. Or if you have older kids, you can actually train them to not disturb you for a certain amount of time. I know parents that have used certain signs on their door and they say, do not disturb. And if this color is here, you cannot come into this room. If you have certain tasks that you need to get done, you can try to do those tasks with your kids if they're old enough. But for me, my kid was not old enough. So in those cases, I would actually reach out for support and help and not be ashamed that I'm asking for help or that I'm even paying for help. I will happily pay people to watch my kid so I can get stuff done. And I don't think parents hear that enough. I think that a lot of parents, whether you're a mom or a dad, just feel like you just need to handle it. Like everyone else handles it, so why aren't you? I'm here to tell you that I call in reinforcements. I take volunteers. I will pay babysitters. I will pay daycare. I will do all of those things to ensure that I can stay at a good balance in life. And if I couldn't afford those things, then I would be reaching out to other parents of maybe similar age kids and just do a kid exchange, right? Build some relationships in your neighborhood. Go on Facebook and look for mom groups or dad groups or parent groups and make the effort to make those connections and watch their kid for a couple hours, and then they can watch your kid for a couple hours. There are ways to get around the expenses of childcare, and I just want to say that was kind of like a rant. I didn't mean for that, but it's just to allow you to have time and space to organize yourself. Because for me, if I feel unorganized, then I am not myself and I don't feel well. I feel overwhelmed and stressed and just I'm not a happy camper. So, in order for me to be my best self for the people around me, I need to take care of myself. And one of the ways I do that is to stay organized. So, there we go. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. Um, Okay, a little bit more about yourself. So, knowing yourself and giving yourself grace and realizing that building these habits will save a lot of time and brain power is the main point of the batching slide. And I say know yourself and give yourself grace because there are days when you will wake up and you will feel like you just are so tired, or maybe you just got no sleep, right? I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning because I couldn't sleep. I was woken up by my dog, and so I ended up getting up, and I know I'm going to be tired later. So I'm going to give myself grace this afternoon for any mentally challenging tasks, and just know that, you know what, maybe today is not the day to do these things, but I can fill in the gaps with maybe some activities that don't burn as many calories in my brain because I know that I didn't get the right amount of sleep that I needed last night. And you may wake up sick, or you may just wake up feeling not very creative or not very productive. And your body will go in phases, and that's okay. What you need to do is learn about that, learn about your phases, learn, like, self reflect and think about what you can do in a certain amount of time. Look at your day as the big picture. When are you most productive? Are you a night owl? Are you an early bird? And use that knowledge to your advantage when you are planning your tasks and your days, as you continue on. I hope that makes sense. If you know yourself, you will know how to be the most productive you, because you will know when your body is ready to do that kind of work. And the more that you plan ahead for the day, the more that your brain and body can kind of prepare for that day, unless you become sick and then you were sick and then you can't do those things. And that's okay. Give yourself grace when you need to give yourself grace. Okay, Mandy, what do you do? How do you fit it all in, or how do you keep track of everything? All right. So this is my system. I told you in the email that this would be a very tactical workshop, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do and how I do it so that you can either copy me or adapt it to make it your own. So the first thing that I do is the night before, I open up my to-do planner. Okay, I have a link for it in this presentation, which you will get a copy of. Don't worry. I have a to-do planner, and I actually discovered this planner over a year ago, and it's just been such a lifesaver. I haven't really worked well with regular calendar planners. Like, I would like the idea of them, but it just wasn't really working for me. But this to-do planner, however, the night before, I will fill this out. So I wake up the next day and I know exactly what I need to do, and there's no putzing around or just thinking about the day and wondering what to do next and what should I do first. So here's how my planner looks. This is back in 2021, but um, I have a little spot here that says what I'm grateful for. At the time, I had a really bad back injury, and so that was causing me a lot of pain. And I was able to get better with physical therapy, and then I was able to run again. And running is something that have enjoyed my whole life, but and having that taken away, I just felt really grateful to have it back. So I was grateful for that. The to-do list is here on the left side. My must get done today's, those are my frogs. And then my to-do list are like my tadpoles and the batching opportunities. And then I have notes, a spot for notes, a spot for appointments, meals, water intake, which I am personally terrible at drinking water, speaking of. So that's important to me. And then I have health and fitness goals. You can buy this planner. I think I've sold a lot for this company. I'm not affiliated with them. But just with all my teacher friends, I know that everybody that did my training, I think they bought this planner. But I have a special bonus for you for watching. I actually created my own little version of this on Canva. So you are going to be able to get a copy of that and be able to print it or even modify it to fit yourself. So sit tight. Don't go on Amazon quite yet. I have a nice little thing for you for watching today. So big picture, zooming out, I've brainstormed, I have brain dumped all of my tasks onto a paper. I have figured out which are the most important nasty tasks and made those my frogs. I have then organized that list into things that I can batch, into things that I need to prioritize the most. And then I take that information and I translate it to my daily planners. And this is where I will get that inspiration to know what is going to go on that to-do list and what are going to be my frogs. And what you end up doing and what the book teaches you is to do those frogs the first thing in the day. Okay. I also want to note in that I do prioritize also based on due dates. So currently right now, I have deadlines for clients. I have events to prepare for, like this presentation. There are certain timely things where I'm being held accountable. And in those cases, I am going to ensure that that is factored into the frogness of the activity. So bigger tasks, important tasks, and high soon due dates or high priority are going to be my frogs. Everything else can be kind of dropped down into those simpler tasks. Okay, as promised, I have this bonus for you for showing up and watching this today. It's a free daily task sheet. The link to also you get a link to this presentation and an editable sounds like something you can eat it. Editable, customizable link. And that is here. You can use your phone right now and scan the QR code to access the PDF. So pause this video and you can do that now. Or you, I think once you scan that code, you'll be able to also click on it in the presentation and it will pop up for you. I'm just going to, move forward there. All right, so get that QR code, scan it. If you are, this should work. Okay, sorry. This is live, so I'm moving forward here. So the final stage, okay, so I've taught you everything that I've done. One thing that I wanted to mention though, that I thought I had here, let me see if it's further. Okay. I'm going to address the tech and after this slide. So the application aspect. So we're at towards the end of the presentation now. You've been with me for about half an hour, so thank you for that. I hope you found it valuable. The application process of this presentation is for you to basically take your insight and turn it into action. And if you did all of the tasks that I went over today, it could take you maybe I don't. It depends on how much time you have right now to process it. But I would say between half an hour and an hour of your time to really prioritize and think about what you need to do in a day. Print out those daily task sheets. One thing, do I have it here? Oh yeah. So one thing I want to highlight here: one task at a time is enough. Be kind to yourself. I could have changed that to like daily task sheet or the title of the actual worksheet. But I just felt like this would be a better use of space to remind you that nobody is Superman, Superwoman. You can give yourself grace, be kind to yourself, and just focus on one task at a time or one step at a time. And you will eventually start to feel more and more productive and more relieved of your responsibilities of adulthood. I guess adulting is tough. All right, do these processes and you will get, if you're working from a list, basically, studies show that you get 2 hours back in your day. I got way more than 2 hours back in my day by switching to this kind of functional list process. And the key is consistency. So for me, doing things at night before in my bed, after my daughter's going to bed and everything's kind of winding down, that right there has helped me be more consistent. And it just kind of sets me up for success for the next day. So find ways that work for you to practice consistency. So here's the recap. First thing you do, you brain dump. You get all of those tasks out of your head and onto paper. I personally like paper. The next thing you're going to do is sort everything. So sort by priorities. Not, I don't want to say priorities because that's what you're doing in this process. You are prioritizing, but figure out what are the more urgent things. What are the bigger tasks that involve a lot of effort, a lot of brain power. Those are going to be your frogs. And then figure out what are some important things that aren't as big as the frogs, but they still need to be remembered and thought about. And then the tiny busy things, those daily tasks, things that you do every day, how can you consolidate and batch those into a certain amount of time frame into your day? And then put it into practice. Eat the frog. Do the thing that you don't want to do first, and then your day will instantly feel better. I guarantee it. It happens to me all the time. Like if I get this one thing done, I'm having a good day. And going back to the beginning of the presentation where I talked about busy versus productive, when you're eating those frogs, you're going to feel and actually be more productive because 20% of because 80% of your progress is going to come from 20% of those tasks, those frogs. I hope that makes sense. I kind of butchered that quote, but where can you find more resources? So stick with the system and just try and be consistent, but also give yourself grace. You can come to me. I have been, like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, I have juggled so many things at once. And at the end of the day, I realized that I had a process that works and I should probably be sharing it with others. So feel free to reach out to me. You can message me on Instagram at STEM Tactics, or you can email me at mandy@stemtactics.com. The book, Eat the Frog by Brian Tracy. It's a super short book, 21 strategies. I went over probably 3 today. I mean, there's way more in here that could work for you if what I said didn't quite resonate and you're looking for more. Productivity podcasts. I have a list here, but if you search on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, there are so many productivity podcasts out there. So just find what you like. And then the Zakoto to-do planner is the one that I mentioned here. I also use a diary, a 5-subject notebook, or no, sorry, you can also use a diary. I also use a 5-subject notebook because I have like 5 big sections of my life. So I like to put all of my things and ideas in that notebook. And then I go from there and I put it on my to-do planner, and then a calendar. So I'm going to jump now to the tech products that you can use to also assist you in your daily tasks. So I love my paper planner, but maybe you do better with reminders on your phone and stuff like that. So I just want to mention, I'm gonna stop sharing screen. Okay, so I just want to mention that on your Google Calendar on your phone, you can go and you can actually, I encourage you to schedule out time for your tasks. I can't say that word today. For your tasks so that you can be realistic with your expectations for yourself. So what I mean by that is if you have a frog of, let's say, I'm going to use a homeschooling example for right now. So let's say that you know that you need to get your morning baskets ready for the next day. Morning baskets are basically the activities that your kids do first thing in the morning. They're already ready to go. And they just wake up in the morning and they start working on the activities in their basket. So those things are pretty consistent, but they can also be a lot of work. So maybe those would be tadpoles or frogs in your life. And let's say that you want to have time to prepare, to research, and to gather materials for your morning baskets. So in your calendar, you can actually schedule out the time by duration. So you can say, well, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., maybe the kids have like an event or like gymnastics or something. They're going to be doing this. So that during this time, I can use that time to plan or research about morning baskets. Once you actually dedicate certain amounts of time to each task, same thing with batching, like you set a certain amount of time to batch for a certain thing. Once you start seeing those blocks in Google Calendar fill up, then you're going to start to be a little bit more realistic with your expectations of like, well, maybe I can't eat 3 frogs today, but I could probably eat 1. And also integrating all of those appointments and everything else that you need to do in a day will be in one place, and it will be visually like comprehensible, because the daily task to-dos planner is great for checking off and staying focused, but it doesn't give you like a clear big picture like a Google Calendar can do. The next thing I'm going to show you is, if you are not a paper person at all, I wanted to introduce, without overwhelming you, a project management tool that is free, and it is called Asana. I use this with my clients. I also use this for my life. I created a demo account here for you to see, but you have what's called projects. And if we go over okay, so on your home screen, this is kind of, what it will look like, and you can create projects. So I'm going to take a sip of water. So when I organize my life, I have a project for each theme. So I had family stuff, health stuff, work, a work project, and some of my projects for other entrepreneurial adventures. So I had different projects for each theme of my life. So this is kind of like how I Asana'd my life. You might be familiar with Asana with work if you're working, or maybe, with teaching. This was super helpful because I was able to organize all of my tasks per project. But what's nice about here is that you can add tasks, and then you can increase the priority by going to due date, untitled school. Why is the priority not showing up here? Okay. Well, let's go to add a new task. So let's say school, like packing lunches, packing lunch. And going to assign it to myself. And then add to it's to school. So I'm going to make it due for a certain day. You can also add time or make it set to repeat. So the same time each day, you are reminded to make those lunches. And I should be able to create a priority. I was able to for my other one, but maybe I didn't do it right. Today, assignee details. It was right here. See, for my family, I have it in calendar view for appointments. And this is all blank because it's a demo. I didn't want to actually show you how crazy my life really is. And let's see here. So my list, priority. I don't know why it's not showing up as priority. I must be missing something obvious. I'm nervous live. So anyway, you can set the due date. And what happens is when you go to my tasks, it will have the things that are due more recent pop up at the top. This is essentially, if you don't want to do a daily planner paper, you can do Asana, and it's digital and it will show up on your phone with an app, and it works just like the paper planner. I would not recommend doing a paper planner and Asana. That would be redundant. So just pick what you like more. And if you like the idea of Asana, then please email me. I'm going to show my emails very soon. Please email me, because then I will do a session on Asana itself. I know it didn't quite look like I knew what I was doing, but I do know how to use it. And I would be happy to create another session that is more techie based, but I don't want to overwhelm you today. Let me find my presentation. Where'd it go? I'll just open it again. Oh, hold on. Bear with me. No, I lost you. Here you are. Okay. My apologies here. I'm going to present and share my screen. I'm notorious for talking about something that's on my screen, and then it's not. I'm like, it's just me, and I'm not actually sharing anything. Happens to me all the time. Okay. We're done. So please email me any feedback that you have on this session. I would love to hear what you thought. Mandy@stemtactics.com. What went well? What could be improved? Let me know later if these strategies helped you with better time management. I would really like to know, because if this helped for you, then I can continue doing these kinds of presentations and sharing my insight to all of you. Go ahead and check out my social impact science website. I create science resources for sustainability, and you can find those at stemtactics.com. So super easy to remember. Thank you. I would love your feedback. Feel free to pause this and write down my email and let me know what you thought. I'm going to head back to that original slide here. The bonus for showing up slide. So don't forget to scan this QR code and get that daily task sheet. Depending on where you're seeing this video, there might be a link to this presentation or the PDF file with all the information, but I'm just not going to guarantee it here right now. But maybe where you're watching, there will be a link. And but if not, scan it with your phone and you will get instant access to it. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found it helpful, and have a wonderful rest of your productive day.